Hey, what's up guys? When it comes to television screens, a lot of people believe that bigger is better, and the same can be said for the screens of smartphones too. This is the Mate 20X, Huawei's effort to deliver a giant screen and flagship specs without sacrificing usability. So did they succeed? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and this is our Mate 20X review. The Mate 20X has the same design as the Mate 20, despite the size difference. It's made of glass on top of an aluminum metal frame. Flip over to the curved back and you can see the Mate 20 series signature vinyl-like pattern made from etching in the glass. It looks great and adds a bit of grip as well. With a 7.2-inch screen, this phablet is quite large and not recommended for people with small hands. It is possible to use one-handed, but I found it much more comfortable with two. But that said, the Mate 20X still fits nicely in most pockets, and I found no problems taking a seat. Though it is big, it doesn't feel too outrageous and the size is easy to get used to. Going back to that large screen, it's a 7.2-inch Amoled with a crazy screen-to-body ratio. The bezels are minimal, there's only a tiny water drop notch. It really is quite small compared to the overall display, but you can still opt to mask it with a black bar. Content looks decent on this panel, though at 1080p it's not the most pixel dense at 346 ppi. But it's still enough for both a daily driver and a multimedia device, and you get those deep AMOLED blacks. Max brightness is good, normally 460 nits and up to 655 nits in auto mode in bright conditions. So as expected, legibility out in the sun is excellent. Overall, colors aren't the most accurate, but they're fine. For color options, you have the default vivid mode and the normal mode. Along with each of these, you can choose from default, warm, and cold temperatures. We should mention that this screen is sensitive to up to 4096 levels of pressure. This allows for support for a model-specific active stylus, but you have to buy it separately. There is also an always-on display on the Mate 20X, so you can keep an eye on the time and notifications. Unfortunately, it lacks a notification LED if you wanted a more power-saving option. The Mate 20X has a stereo speaker setup, but unlike the other Mate phones, the second speaker isn't a tiny earpiece. Instead, there are symmetrical Dolby-powered speakers on the top and bottom sides. They have deep bass and overall rich and balanced output, scoring excellent in our tests. You can plug in headphones with a 3.5mm jack. Nice. Sound with headphones is good, with above average loudness and little distortion. The Mate 20X is IP53 rated for dust and splash resistance. However, we wish we got the full IP68 like on the Mate 20 Pro. If you open up the SIM slot, you can see evidence of this with some rubber sealing on the dual nano SIM tray. Just a note that while you can expand your storage here, you'll need to use one of Huawei's hard-to-find NM cards to do it. For biometrics, the Mate 20X features a rear-mounted fingerprint scanner, no under-display tech here, but it's very fast and accurate as usual from Huawei. Face Unlock is available and works well, just keep in mind that it doesn't involve any 3D scanning, so it may be less secure. The user interface of the Mate 20X is Huawei's custom EMUI 9.0 over Android 9 Pie. If you've used a Huawei phone before, it should feel pretty familiar. For example, out of the box, all of the apps are kept on the home screen, though you can enable an app drawer in settings. Huawei's version of gesture navigation is all here. Swipe up and stop midway for the task switcher. Swipe from the left or right edge of the screen for back, and swipe up for home. The Mate 20X features an IR blaster on its top side. Thanks to its smart remote app, you can control all of your appliances with your Mate. And there's a proprietary digital balance app that tells you how much time you're spending on your phone and gives you the option to set limits. Powering all of these features is a Kirin 980 chipset, along with 6 gigs of RAM. Performance-wise, this is one of the most powerful Android smartphones on the market, and don't worry about it being eclipsed by the new generation of Snapdragons. They will actually use the same GPU. The phone does tend to heat up a bit during extensive benchmark tests, but not as much as the smaller Mates. Turning on performance mode causes increased heat production, so the sustained benefit from it is only around 5%. But when playing games, I didn't notice any issues at all. The increased screen space made things feel a lot more immersive than on smaller phones, while the 1080p resolution means you get the highest possible frame rates. And of course, here you get Huawei's GPU Turbo 2.0 for even more stable frame rates in supported titles. One benefit of having a large phone is that it packs a larger battery, and this one is no exception at 5,000 mAh. The Mate 20X earned an excellent score of 108 hours in our proprietary tests. However, because of the power draw of the larger screen, in on-screen tasks you should expect the same battery life as on the Mate 20. Charging up isn't painful thanks to the bundled 22.5 watt charger. With it, we were able to charge from 0 to 47% in half an hour. There is no wireless charging or 40 watt supercharge like on the Mate 20 Pro though. The Mate 20X has a triple camera setup. It's actually identical to the one on the Mate 20 Pro. There's a 40 megapixel main cam, 20 megapixel ultra wide angle cam, and an 8 megapixel telephoto camera. The fourth spot holds the dual tone flash. 40 megapixels may seem like quite a lot, but the default output is actually 10, due to the quad Bayer filter and pixel binning. If you feel like, you can still opt to capture the 40 megapixel image, but really, this camera's output is best at the default. Since the cameras and their software are the same as on the Mate 20 Pro, we're going to do more of a general overview of the quality here. If you want to go more in-depth, we'll leave a link to our Mate 20 Pro review for you to check out. Photos captured by the Mate 20X during the day are as flagship level as they come, regardless of which camera you use. There is plenty of detail, impressive dynamic range, lively and accurate colors, superb contrast, and overall very nice rendition. Switching to portrait mode gives pleasant, but not outstanding results. The subject separation is fine, though it's not the best we've seen. At night, the main attraction is Huawei's signature night mode. It creates pseudo-long exposures by stacking multiple frames gathering light along the way. These take from 3 to 5 seconds, and they're not always keepers, but when it works, the results are stunning. That said, regular photos shot in auto mode look great too, and have the edge and sharpness since there's no stacking involved. I actually prefer to use just this, it's more convenient. The selfie camera is 24 megapixels in f2.0 with fixed focus, again the same as on the Mate 20 Pro. Shots come out with an amazing amount of detail, if you're in the focus sweet spot. For video, the Mate 20X can shoot in 4K at 30 FPS, no 60 FPS here. From the main camera, it looks good. There is more than enough resolve detail, excellent dynamic range, and true-to-life colors. And there's always-on stabilization, which does a decent job of smoothing out your movements too. Results from the other cameras aren't quite as nice, however. They're a bit softer and have more noise. And stabilization isn't good if you're using the telephoto cam. So that's the Huawei Mate 20X. Overall, it pretty much delivers what people are looking for in a flagship phone. You get a giant Amoled screen, and from the build quality, to the stereo speakers, the performance, the battery life, and the camera, everything is just top-notch. There's even a headphone jack. As far as downsides go, the biggest of course is that large form factor, which can be a challenge in day-to-day use. Plus those NM memory cards are pretty hard to come by, and I wish there was full waterproofing here, not just splashproofing. And what about that stylus? Why not include it in the box? And even if you do get it, there's no dock on the phone to put it on. But regardless of the nitpicks, the Mate 20X is one of the most feature-packed phones you can get right now. If you're looking for a flagship with all the bells and whistles, this definitely earns our recommendation. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in the full test findings from the Mate 20X, or just want to compare it to some other phones, you can find a link down in the description below. See ya!